Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
What's up? It's The Breakfast Club. I'm Angela Yee. Look at us all looking at our notes. And I'm joined by two incredible women, Cara, Sabin. You've been up here before, so welcome back.
I have, thank you.
The CEO of Shea Moisture and Beauty and Wellbeing North America, and Chantel Powell, the co-founder and CEO of Play Pits.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today.
And I'm excited to have you guys here because you know how much I love talking about entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I love talking about Black women. So we'll be talking about all of those things this morning. Now, Chantel, when I first heard about Play Pits, I wasn't sure what it was, but it's a very clever play on words. So can you tell us what Play Pits is?
Thank you. So Play Pits is an all-natural deodorant that literally was created because my son smelled like a man at 6, right? And so I'm a mama that refused to settle, and I didn't want that smelly kid. And I feel like, you know, so often parents settle for a smelly kid, but I got in the kitchen and I created something that was safe and effective for him. And he loved it so much that he begged me to make more. And so Play Pits is now a national brand, and we're an all-natural deodorant company that teach kids about healthy hygiene and has amazing products for the whole family.
I know some grown men probably that could benefit from that too.
Oh, we have so many grown men that wear Play Pits. We have King and we have Queen adult products, and then we have the kids line, Sugar, Happy, and Sunshine.
And how did you even know how to do that?
You know, I'm resourceful. So I'm someone who always believes in natural remedies. I have hand eczema, so I've used natural products to kind of, you know, cure myself. And so I got in the kitchen and I whipped up deodorant because my grandmother used to put baking soda under my arms. And so I remembered every Black mama got some baking soda under their arms. So, I mean, in their refrigerator. So I grabbed some baking soda, some coconut oil, and some cornstarch and whipped that up.
All right. Now, Cara, let's get to you. As the CEO of Shea Moisture, you've been doing some great work, and I've done things with you guys during the pandemic, making sure that companies got grant money just because it was a difficult time.
Right.
There were people who weren't going to be able to survive the pandemic without some financial assistance. There were people who were applying to try to get some of this relief from the government, but for some reason they weren't able to get it.
Yeah.
So can you talk about some of the things, and then we'll discuss what we're doing now, but that Shea Moisture did during the pandemic to help some of those Black-owned businesses?
Yeah, you know, Shea Moisture from the very beginning has been committed to this mission of supporting Black entrepreneurship and supporting founders of color. And I joined the business in December of 2019, you know, like maybe 2 months before the pandemic. And then later that year, and then unfortunately later that year with the death, the murder of George Floyd, we saw the need in our community even greater. And so what we've been doing under the leadership of my Simone Jordan and her team is standing up programs that help facilitate access to microgrants, facilitate access to mentorship, educational hours, because that's the mission of our business, is to support other Black founders. Because we were once a Black founded business, and now our focus is on Black impact. How can we make the greatest impact to close what we call the racial wealth gap, which is $11 trillion?
So explain that.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to, because you guys have this impact report that's available now, SheaMoisture.com/impact.
Thank you.
But there is an $11 trillion racial wealth gap. What exactly does that mean for people who are listening and like, okay, I don't break that down?
Yeah. I mean, quite simply, it means that the average dollar stays in our community for far less time than it does to our counterparts' communities. And if you think about generational wealth, that is through the acquisition of land, through property, through things that are handed over generation after generation after generation. And because of historical oppression and discrimination in this country, discrimination in terms of where people could live, where they could go to school, a lot of those methods for building generational wealth have been eliminated for us. And so now we are in a position where there's this huge chasm between the wealth in the Black community and the wealth in, you know, the general community. And so that is what we're committed to, is working with founders like Chantel to help accelerate entrepreneurship, because we do see that as a path to building equity in our community.
Chantel, what were some of the biggest obstacles for you as a business owner and getting started to get to the point where you are today?
Yeah, well, I think it really starts with education, right? I'm a first-generation entrepreneur. I'm a first-generation college-educated person in my family. So when you go back to education and you've never seen, a business owner in your family, you're starting from zero. Whereas you have people in other communities that it runs in their family, they have knowledge. So for me, what Shea Moisture has done was provide so many resources, webinars and lunch and learns and things that we were able to log in on and learn about different programs and just a lot of the things that we're learning, whereas it's been simple for other people, is just who knew, cash flow and all that. I learned that because of me being a business owner. You don't just know that. And so I've been super grateful for the access to the information. And as well as cash, that helps as well, right?
Yeah, no, you have to have both. I saw our friend Ryan Wilson from the Gathering Spot. He's in the Impact Report, and he said that he feels like a lot of times our businesses are over-mentored and under-resourced.
Absolutely.
So can you expand on that and how Shea Moisture has decided to tackle that?
Yeah, I think we have to give the credit to our founder, Richelieu Dennis, who founded Sundial Brands, and I know Rich, Angela, but through his vision of the commitment of what Shea Moisture would be focused on, he made the decision in 2017 to use acquisition as an exit strategy, meaning he sold the business to Unilever. And from that, one of the terms of conditions was that Unilever and he and his family would create this $100 million fund called the New Voices Fund. And
by the way, just sidebar, when that happened and everybody was up in arms and so angry, they didn't know there was a bigger play.
Completely, exactly. So he, had the long-term vision. It doesn't just stop with selling his business, which he called selling in, not selling out. But from that, New Voices Fund was created. Chantel reminded me that you were part of, the work that New Voices was doing. And then he went on to acquire Essence Communications and many other things. So the long play is really what is the end game? And for us, the end game is to help build generational wealth. And so to do that, it's through standing up these programs. Yes, mentorship and education is a big part of it, but like you said, the cash is important as well. And we know that, and you know this as well, that entrepreneurs of color have, less than 1% of them have access to capital. And so we really need other businesses to partner with us to make that number not so dire.
I also saw in the Impact Report, because I did read the whole thing, because I'm a business owner myself. So stuff like this, I'm always trying to learn better ways to do things. And so it says 53% of Black-owned firms reported difficulty accessing credit. And that is definitely an issue and a problem, because not just accessing the credit, but once you have it, what is your credit line? And then you do have to pay it back.
Right? It's not free money. Right?
I know. Sometimes we think all right, I just got to get a loan, or I have to make this happen. And that's why grants are important.
That's right. Right. Because that is free money.
Yeah.
That's free money. So, many of the programs that we've stood up over the past couple of years that you can find in the Impact Report, SheaMoisture.com/impact, will give you a lot of detail. But yes, all of it is important.
Chantel, can you tell us some of the stories that you have about getting your business started, and maybe some things that you learned along the way, some wins and some losses?
Well, the biggest, I'll start with the loss, right? So recently, September 13th, I got a phone call at 3 a.m. and I lost my warehouse and everything in it to a warehouse fire, right? And so when you think about everything, I started my business in 2018, and I've built it from my kitchen, right, to this facility in Atlanta, Georgia. And to get a phone call at 3 a.m. that it was burning down to the ground was a loss that I did not know how I was going to recover from. But the loss has brought so many wins. And so, me being within the Shea Moisture family, Shea Moisture has definitely stepped up and provided opportunities for helping me with a grant and helping me, and also resources, right? Connecting me with people, giving me information and helping me navigate this circumstance. But then also we just won $100,000 with a grant, and it was a contest, right? And so my customers, the Under Army, they came out and they voted for us to win $100,000.
That's huge.
Yeah, so that was with Capitalists, and then we just won $50,000 with Pharrell Williams' organization, Black Ambition Prize. So you're going to have the wins and you're going to have the losses. And one thing that I'm learning in business is it's all about problem solving. It's all about how do you deal with it? How do you respond to the losses? How you learn from the wins and keep winning. So, and how you turn those losses into moments where you can propel yourself to win. So.
Cara, what are that's amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations for that, because I would be devastated.
Oh, yeah. It was.
I get upset when people call out. Somebody just tweeted me like, there's only one person working, and it's been really hard for our business too, just with employees and people not showing up, people being late, people just not showing, just deciding not to be there anymore. So it's not easy. Yeah. And so that call would definitely, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where my heart was racing and my body didn't even know how to respond, right? And so that warehouse was so much more it was so much more than a building for me and my family. It was a milestone because we worked so hard to, get to this place, and we had staff and it was full of inventory. We actually had started to outgrow it. And so yeah, it was devastating, but
And then you say, thank God no one got injured.
That was the blessing, because my team was the team that was in this building every day, 9 to 5. And so the fact that this happened at 3 a.m., everything that was lost could be replaced. And that's what I told myself. Like, once the day kind of washed away, I surrendered to God and I said, okay, I'm going to see how you're going to work.
And you said people were calling, asking, like, can I help you clean up? And you were like, no, everything is gone.
Nothing to clean up.
Everything is gone.
Everything's gone.
But that just goes to show you how important it is to build a connection with your consumer where they feel like, I want to support your brand. It starts with your brand being amazing, right? And then it translates to, I care about the brand and the person behind the brand that I'm purchasing. And I think we see that with Shea Moisture as well. Yeah. Can you talk about growing Shea Moisture? Because when did Shea Moisture even start? It was like...
Well, so 30 years ago, technically, but the vision really started in 1912 with Richelieu's grandmother, Sophie Tucker, who literally was selling shea nuts in Western Africa. And so some of those preparations and recipes are what are in our products today. But 30 years ago, so we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. And you think about the evolution of Shea Moisture, like we were talking about, one of the conversations that we think is really important to have is for founders, if you reach a point where you want to make greater impact, or you decide you want to, start up another business, if you choose to sell your business using acquisition as an exit strategy, we in the community should celebrate that.
Right.
We should celebrate that.
Some people start businesses, not just in our community, but to be able to sell them.
Right. Like, that is how you accumulate wealth. Yes. And so we really want to change this conversation that if you are a founder and you make the decision that you wish to sell your business for whatever reason, that you should have, why would we deny someone that opportunity to build wealth?
Or even to get investors. Sometimes people are really hesitant to say, I will give up a piece of my business because I need this capital. It's so important for me to grow my business to a greater space than it's in now. What are your thoughts on that, Chantel, as far as investors?
So what I will say is, in the beginning, when I first started PlayFits, I was like, my grandkids are one day going to be the CEO,
Yeah,
and
we
then,
all think that. We're like, and then I have to keep this. I don't want to give up control. Yeah. This has to be mine.
But then as you learn, right, and I think it all starts with the reason why Black businesses deal with this is because as a Black community, we don't really know business like that, right? And so we're still learning as a community, and as we learn, we have to evolve our thoughts about, acquisitions and investors, right? And so, to have a brand that's now in Target, it takes a lot of money to do that. And we're a totally bootstrapped company, right? So now as I'm, growing and scaling, I'm looking at all opportunities to be able to continue to throw gas on the fire. No pun intended. But,
I don't even want to make that.
No pun intended. But, really like keep things growing and moving and scaling the way they need to be.
And I want to make sure, of course, I know we're talking about so many different things because this is one of my favorite conversations to have. But there is a community impact grant, and I helped you guys actually launch that. Yeah. And people can apply until November 27th. So
correct.
Give us the details.
Yeah, no, we are so happy, Angela, that you partnered with us on that. So we are giving out 2 $10,000 grants. You will help us, pick those finalists. Applications close the week after Thanksgiving, November 27th. And it's just another extension of the programming that we do on the business. I don't know if we have time to talk about the Next Black Millionaire, because that's also an active initiative that we have. But I'll pause there. But going to that grant, so that is an extension of the impact report. And when we decided to publish this impact report, a lot of businesses talk the talk but don't walk the walk. And Shea Moisture historically has been a really humble business where we do the action but don't really talk about it. And so we felt it was important to document the impact that we've made, because we hope it inspires other businesses to partner with us on this journey. And I think it's also important to what you were saying, Chantel, about educating our community on business. So there's a component that will be coming later where we're producing a docuseries that chronicles 3 Black founders through their journey in becoming, the next Black millionaire. Because we don't really get to see the behind the scenes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Often we only see the good side, like, you have a business now, but we don't document the journey and everything that it took to get there.
It's so stressful. I'm stressed right now. Because I think, like, for me and Chantel, I know, like, just even starting, like, my coffee business right now, right? And there's a couple of things I want to say about that, but putting my own money into something, and, that's a huge risk that you have to take. But I feel like you have to take it because you can't expect somebody else to take that risk if you don't take it in yourself.
If you're not betting on yourself,
So that's important to do. And then the other thing I want to say about coffee, and then when it comes to Shea Moisture, just even thinking about where your product comes from.
Where it's
There's
sourced.
a lot of things that we have to think. Is it ethically sourced?
Yes.
Are people getting, because I know in a lot of places, we have to think about the labor that's put into making that product.
Yes.
Okay. And I know for Shea Moisture, part of the mission is also making sure that women are compensated properly.
Yeah. When I, a couple of weeks after I started in 2019, that was actually the year of return. The 400th year anniversary of when the first enslaved people left the shores of Africa to the Americas. And so it was a life-changing experience to be on the continent in Western Africa at that time. But we took a trip to northern Ghana, which is where our cooperatives, our Shea Moisture, our Shea Butter cooperatives are. And we really see those women as entrepreneurs themselves. And so everything that we do, it originates with the sourcing of the ingredient. And it's important that we're not extracting resources, but we're also putting back into the communities. And so that is our cycle with those women that manage those cooperatives, is that we put money back into the community where they can then educate their family, they can have a higher quality of life. And as we say, in every Shea Moisture bottle, like, the culture's in the bottle, and it comes from those cooperatives in northern Ghana.
I have to think about that a lot. Like, when it comes to my coffee company, the way that we started it, and making sure that we want to make sure that the farmers and the exporters, the importers, we pay attention to who they are. We do have a Black woman importer, Phyllis Johnson, who's amazing.
Nice.
We have a roaster, a Black woman who's a roaster also. And so we're really intentional about making sure we put our wealth back into the community. Even building our space, it was all Black and brown people that built our space, and a lot of the products that are inside of the store, we make sure that we're trying to circulate that dollar back in as well.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say about that, and I think that is what's important about building Black people, building Black, right? And when you can build an infrastructure or a business and you make sure your partners, you're still doing business with your people to make sure we're widening the impact. And that's something that we're very intentional about as far as we now, since the fire, we've partnered with a Black-owned 3PL company. So whenever opportunities I can partner Black, I will, because that is how we continue to grow what our business, is able to impact in our community. And then I did want to say, for people, I know I was a small business owner that was in the midst of just growing, and grant opportunities were available, and I did not pause to take advantage of them in the beginning. So I want to say to any Black business owner that's listening to this, take advantage of this free money, right? Shea Moisture, they are putting their money where their mouths are. Out of all of the partners that I've had over the 4 years, you all were the first to really give me cash in my time of need, right? And so I was very grateful for that. But now that you all are offering grants and other people take advantage of this free money. Don't get intimidated about the application process. Take a little day, schedule your time.
It's worth it.
It's worth it because it's free money.
I'm glad you said that. I wanted to bring that up too because I'm on the advisory commission for the Mayor's Office of Small Business Services. And so I was there and I never applied for grants. And I've just been using my own money for everything. And, sometimes I feel like, well, maybe it's not fair because, I work here and then I can afford to. But then it's also like using your own money sometimes is just really like, it's very
hard.
It is hard. And if there are grants available, and one woman that was there, she was sitting next to me. She owns a juice bar. She was like, Angela, I apply for every grant. She was like, no matter how, $5,000 grants, $10,000, $25,000 grants. She said, I've gotten so many grants and it's really helped me so much in my business. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted you up here, Cara, to let people know you guys have the New Voices Fund. You have the Next Millionaire?
Next Black Millionaire.
The Next Black Millionaire.
Yeah.
We have this Community Impact Grant right now that's going on until November 27th.
Yes.
That you have to be able to apply for it. But these are things that people have to take advantage of. And that's something even for myself, I was really slow to learn. Even during the pandemic, I'm paying out of my pocket, to keep everything open and running. And it's kind of like you see your money depleting. And a lot of people are using all their own savings. I know people are cashing out their 401ks right now, cashing in all their stocks and everything just to keep a business open.
No, the resources and the capital is available, but like you said, you may have to do a little work, fill
it's
out
going
an
to take
application.
some work, but it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's so worth it.
I think it's worth it.
All right. Now, is there anything else you want to... I know you wanted to tell us more about the Next Black Millionaire Fund. Can you tell us about that?
So you mentioned Ryan, who's the brother that owns the Gathering Spot. We met Ryan through... we did a social justice coalition, and we had an impact grant associated with that. And so he was one of the recipients of that. And then fast forward a year later, we stood up a program for Black male entrepreneurs called the Trailblazers Fund. And we held it at his Gathering Spot in Atlanta. And then this year we were at his facility in LA standing up the next iteration of that. But one of the founders that was with me was Neil Hudson, who is one of the 4 co-founders of Scotch Boys. And Scotch Boys is hot sauce condiments brand that they were a recipient of a $100,000 grant from Shea Moisture as part of our Next Black Millionaire Fund. So
did you send Hillary Clinton some?
We should, right? It is no joke. It is delicious. And so he is one of the 3 recipients. The other 2 are Latoya Stirrup and her sisters, who founded a brand called Cosmology, so it's hair accessories. And then we have Dorian Morris from Undefined Beauty. And so that Next Black Millionaire Fund, they are the 3 biggest recipients of that. And then I mentioned the docuseries that will be released later next year. And so we are just really trying to, be out here, continue to inspire and invest and support founders, and, also document that journey as well, because we think it's important in terms of the education.
What are some of the biggest success stories that you've seen?
I think, it's so, first of all, we can't take credit for anyone's success because we hope to be a catalyst, but, all the credit really goes to the founders. But we are proud of you in terms of what you've been able to do with Play Pits. I think the way you and I connected was through We Buy Black, which is the biggest online platform for Black-owned businesses. And so through that grant program, we were introduced to Play Pits, but we have over 250 businesses that we have supported, invested in some sort of way in our ecosystem, and we want that to grow, and so we want our impact to grow at the same time.
Can you talk to me about this deodorant thing now? Use a natural deodorant, because I always hear different things about certain deodorants have aluminum in it, or they have these ingredients that aren't good for you. So talk to me a little bit about deodorant and what made that your focus out of everything.
Yeah, so, so it was my focus because this child smelled horrible. I mean, I was just mortified. But I knew I didn't want to put an antiperspirant on him. And an antiperspirant has aluminum salt. Aluminum salt goes under your arms, clogs up your pores, and stop you from sweating. That's why it's called an antiperspirant. But that aluminum has been linked to horrible things, right? And so for me, I didn't want to do anything or put anything on my child that can potentially, I don't even care if it's a small chance, I didn't want to potentially harm him, right? So I was like, how can I kill this funk and keep him fresh, but still use something that's gentle, amazing, and safe for his skin? And so that's really how Play Pits was born. It took me 9 months to formulate this product myself. I tested it on all my family and friends. And so shout out to everybody I sent to work smelly. But
it was trials and tribulations.
Oh, it was trial and error, baby. But it was one of those things that to this day they're still users because our product works and it lasts all day. We got a lot of customers during the pandemic because I think natural deodorant, like you were saying, like, does it work? People are always so skeptical.
Yeah. They always act like you're still going to smell.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't have the antiperspirant in it, too. So you might be sweating, but maybe you don't smell.
Well, what will happen is your body will eventually regulate, right? So if I'm sitting right here, I should not be sweating. But if I go run around this building, I should sweat. So it's teaching your body like when you should sweat, when you shouldn't. And using a natural deodorant will basically help to absorb sweat, but you should sweat when it's meant to, like when you're supposed to sweat.
How do you tell somebody they smell?
See, I'm the bad.
Is someone I need to talk to? He's not here right now.
No, listen, it's a hard conversation, and that's why that's also
a stocking stuffer.
That's why Play Pits is the best stocking stuffer, right? Because what you lead with. Hey, let me tell you about this natural deodorant that's Black owned, that is amazing.
The name
smells.
is fun.
It's called Play Pits, and if it's a man, like King, right? I just gave. I ran into an artist at an event, and I gave him deodorant, and people are always like, "You just run up to people and give them deodorant." Yeah,
it's my brand.
So it's my brand. So I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, here's some deodorant," and he looked down and he was like, "King, that's cool," And so I created something that traditionally is a boring category, but I made it an experience. I made it something really for kids that they get excited about, but we've also have a product that adults love too. So, it's one of those things. You got to just introduce them to Play Pits. I got some product for you.
Yeah, because look, this is a great idea. So anybody listening, you can say, my friend Chantel has this brand, even if you don't know her personally.
Yeah, just say my girl.
Yeah, my girl has this brand, and so I just want you to try this out.
Yeah, and it's safe. And what you use, you got to have, hey, what you using now? And I heard on Breakfast Club about this natural deodorant. Just start the conversation there, and that's what I do. I save noses, and I make sure people stay fresh all day.
Now, is there anything that you could use for men after they play basketball and other areas might be stuck to their thigh or something?
Well, my men customers and my women, they use Play Pits everywhere.
Okay, because it's safe.
Yeah, it's safe. So you can use it in your thigh area, under your, people use it go like here, go like that, and you be fresh on your feet.
You can't use that baby powder anymore.
Listen, don't use the baby powder. Use your Play Pits.
And then you guys also, I saw Shea Moisture UK put out a hair texture dictionary.
Yes.
So can you talk about the importance of something like that? Because right now I have my Shea Moisture products in my hair.
It's so cute,
looks good.
too.
I've been on my natural hair care journey for a few years now. Yeah. So I feel like it's finally paying off. Like I'm getting my curls back because I used to straighten my hair so much that it was always just like a mess. But now I'm learning how to apply my products properly and just make sure that my curls can flourish.
It's a journey, like you just said. I went natural maybe 8 years ago, and till this day, I'm discovering new things about my texture. I'm trying new styles, different kinds of hair, that sort of thing. But we think it's important that no matter how you want to wear your hair, if you want to wear it natural, if you want to wear it straight, if you want to wear a protective style, that you have the vocabulary and the tools to achieve the style that is best for you. Mm-hmm. I think back in the day, there used to be a stigma of wearing protective styles or weaves, or a stigma with relaxing, or a stigma with this, that, or the other. And I think finally we're at a point where we should be able to wear our hair the way that we want to,
right,
and just have access to the products that help us, achieve the style that's best for us.
A good headband wig. And I think we learned that during the pandemic too, because
some people got real comfortable with themselves and discovered what's
you gotta
really
do your hair
happening.
At some point.
Right. At some point.
What are the differences you've seen with the products during the pandemic? Because, like you said, a lot of people were at home doing their own hair.
I have so many girlfriends that either rediscovered their natural curl pattern, rediscovered their grays, decided, I'm going to let my grays show, whatever, just doing themselves. But I think during the pandemic, we had more time. So people were using more treatments. They were trying new style techniques that maybe you didn't have courage to try, or, you didn't have the time. So there's a lot more experimentation happening. But now I think, most people are kind of back into their groove and back into work and still want to look fly.
All right. Well, listen, I want to make sure we let people know where to apply for these grants. Chantel, like you said, it's so important. If I wasn't part of this, I'd be applying for the grant.
Do it
right
today.
now,
Like it literally doesn't close till the 27th. Do it today. Like just pause, say, okay, I'm gonna take an hour and apply. Like the grants that I've been able to win, I'm so grateful that we paused to apply because it's so impactful, and it doesn't matter the amount. You can get a $500 grant, 50,000, but this, like, apply for this today.
All right, and then when it comes to the educational aspect of it too, because as we know, and like Chantel said earlier, there's a lot of programming that can also help you as a business owner learn things that you didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beautiful way that we like to work is we think of it as a Shea fam, an ecosystem. And so, we enjoy working with partners like you, Angela, and we want to invest in founders like you, and so once you're in the Shea fam, you're in the fam. And so
no, really, and that is true. Like y'all have done, like, we've been featured on Amazon with it. Like once you're in the family, like once you get the cash, like it doesn't stop there. Like it continues to bring in revenue for your company. So I definitely do it today. Like, don't hesitate.
That's good. I've met so many people, by the way, so many founders that have gotten grants from Shea Moisture that have talked about how much it's helped them. So that's what I love. I like, and I say this all the time when I'm on panels, but I really enjoy working with brands when I feel like what our goals are aligned.
Right.
And so with Shea Moisture, I feel like I'm honored that y'all come to me when it's time to do things like this, because this is important to me. Yeah. I'm on the ground dealing with the same things. People might be like, she's on the radio, but outside of here.
You're a founder.
Yeah, and it's a lot of struggles that go on, so I can relate to that perfectly. Yeah. And so I appreciate that. I was just talking about y'all over the weekend, and I was like, it's great when I love the products, and I love the care that goes behind these products, and I love what you guys do in the community, even giving back a portion of the proceeds from the sales right back into the community.
Right. Yeah. No, 1% of every sale that we have goes right back into the community, like off the top. That's our proceeds model. That we reinvest back into the business, because that's our DNA.
And I encourage everybody, whatever brand that you love and support, make sure that they're loving and supporting us too, because that is so important. Absolutely. We have choices, we have options.
That's right.
So let's just make sure we hold everybody accountable.
Yeah. Amen to that.
All right. Well, Chantel, Powell, how can people find Play Pits?
Yeah, so you can follow us on social at Play Pits. You can go to playpits.com. You can also find us in 365 Targets.
Okay, say that.
Look, 365.
Perfect number, but it's still growing.
I know, isn't it perfect? It's so easy to say. And then Target.com and Amazon.com. So we're accessible, and that was my main focus. 4 years ago, I knew that busy parents, busy people want a deodorant that's accessible, and so we've worked very hard these last 4 years to make it accessible, so we're almost everywhere.
And Cara, let people know how they can apply for these grants.
Yes, SheaMoisture.com backslash impact.
You're renovating a home right now.
I did do that. I did do my kitchen. SheaMoisture.com /impact.
All right, and nobody told me about the fingerless.
I know, we didn't plan it.
We definitely didn't plan it.
It's cold outside.
It's freezing.
Yeah,
oh my God.
All right, well, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Angela.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.